Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of 2020 for MGR Unplugged. Today is actually New Year's Day, so for those of you listening to us, after New Year's, Happy New Year to everybody. And I'm here with David again to celebrate the New Year.
Hello, everybody.
And today, I think we're just going to have a quick episode. We were actually talking the other day about different marketing channels and just kind of planning our own strategy. And we kind of started very randomly talking about channels that are what we call overrated or underrated when it comes to marketing in general. Not so much digital marketing, but just doing marketing. And if we were to put our own marketing dollars into different options, which ones we think would be better moving forward to 2020 and beyond versus the ones that traditionally worked better back in the days, in the early 2000s. So I think we'll go through that right now. And would you like to start with any particular channel, or you want me to start listing them for you?
Nah, let's just go through the list. We made a little list beforehand.
All right,
we didn't add everything. I don't want to make this
no.
It's
going to be very casual. But one of the things, one of the channels that actually I'm very impressed about myself, as far as how much it has survived all the technology changes and internet changes over the last basically 20 years since the internet became more popular, is actually email marketing. It's amazing that email marketing started being very basic as far as just text emails and all that, and then after that, it kind of went through a little bit of a downturn where people say, "Oh, email marketing is dead."
Yeah, I was going to say. I remember a few years ago, people were saying, it's dead. Email's dead. No one does email marketing anymore."
Right. People started getting very annoyed with so many emails and unsolicited emails and all that stuff. And then it kind of cleaned up itself. And people actually started to be able to opt in or out of emails in a very easy way with the new, it wasn't new, but the Congress enacted the what's called the CAN-SPAM law, and which basically made email marketers and email marketing systems use a specific method to allow people to one-click and subscribe and all these other things. Of course, we still get a lot of spam, and sometimes it's uncontrollable because it comes from foreign countries and all that. But as far as the legit email marketing from companies that are actually letting their consumers or prospective consumers know about upcoming events, news, and products and things like that, I think it's working very well, and it has survived. It has adapted and survived different stages of the internet.
There's two parts to email marketing. Because we're doing the overrated, underrated, and I wanted to talk about direct selling, which is the one that I think, everybody gets spammed with, which is constant offers and 20% off this, Black Friday that. And then there's the more, I called it like newsletter, but it doesn't have to necessarily be a newsletter, but kind of basically the non-selling marketing emails. I think the direct selling marketing emails are at this point kind of overrated because especially because every website these days asks for your email, and you put in your email, and I think a lot of people now, including myself, have like a second email they use just for all that crap. Right. And I go to that account, and it's like, especially on big like holiday time. Oh my god! I mean, I was getting 30 to 50 emails a day of just offers and stuff, and that doesn't mean that you can never do that. But there were companies that we're sending 4 or 5 emails a day, and it's like, leave me alone, okay? Don't send me many emails.
Some people just overdo it, and even when you go to unsubscribe, they even have an option saying, would you like to receive fewer emails or only emails with offers or only emails with information? So they give you a few options as far as what kind of emails you want to get.
The worst is the ones who sign you up for like 5 different email lists from the same company, and when you unsubscribe, you're so subscribed to the other ones, and I have to unsubscribe. Like, that should be totally illegal. I hate that so much.
Yeah, that's like a little loophole in the rules that they say, okay, you unsubscribe from this one, but not from the other ones, and you get another one, and it's like, wait a minute, didn't I just unsubscribe from this, and then they send you another one and say, oh no, you unsubscribe from the offers, but not from the deals or whatever. So,
but for direct selling, I think it's a little overrated now, because I think just sending an off, I would just be much more limited. This is when it gets into like more tactical of how you set up your email flows. Like you can send it to people who, if someone has maybe gone to your site and abandoned cart, then maybe sending them 1 or 2 emails with an offer is a good tactic. But just sending everybody on your list a dozen offers in a row is not a good tactic anymore.
Right. No, definitely you need to select your audience. And when it comes to e-commerce specifically, you know that segmenting your audience, which is what we do for most of our clients, is the critical part, not only to get more ROI in the particular email effort, but also to get fewer unsubscribes, because you are selling people or sending emails to people that actually are interested in a particular product or service and not anything else. I'm following up with them in a good way, so segmenting your email marketing to people that abandon the cart in a certain way, in a certain process, or read an article but then didn't finish it, or things like that, versus just sending, we're going to remind everybody about this and everybody's going to buy this, or everybody's going to, you cannot just basically do like one size fits all anymore. You need to start a little bit of a wide shotgun approach and then start narrowing it down to segment your email content and information to whichever group is interested in each particular product or service.
So I think just like you said, the shotgun approach of just blasting out offers constantly is definitely overrated. I think that's the fastest way to get lots of people to unsubscribe. And not only that, I think there's this idea that I've seen people talk about where they call it like subconscious filtering, when you're like, it's no different than like when you're scrolling through social media, you subconsciously will scroll really fast past ads, and it's the same thing when I open an email, my email, and I see like immediately, if I see like a percentage sign in the subject line, I just scroll past it. I don't even look at it. I just delete it right away.
Not only that, I mean, sometimes you don't even look at it. When you see the sender, you already have this negative connotation to the sender and say, okay, it's another offer that I'm tired of receiving, and you just delete it.
But that can work in your favor on the other side, whereas if you're on the newsletter side, again, I'm calling it newsletter, but it's anything that's not selling, that's just providing some type of value through email. I think that's really underrated. Even though a lot more people and companies are doing that now, I still think that the amount of newsletter emails I get versus the amount of selling emails I get is like 10-1, basically. And I think that balance should be much more. And that's going to be a theme of this podcast, where I think direct selling should be held only for the perfect circumstances, and I'm encouraging more and more of our clients to do less and less direct selling all the time, because you want to keep it for when it's the right moment, the right occasion. Like I said, like, okay, if this person has gone to your site twice and then abandoned their cart, then maybe it's the right time. But if they just signed up for your newsletter, don't just start spamming them with offers. That's like the fastest way I unsubscribe from something is when I sign up for a newsletter and then I get offers all the time. It's like, okay, leave me alone. So direct selling emails, I think overrated. Newsletters, still underrated, even though more people are doing them now. I think it's still underrated.
And obviously the critical factor when you do marketing via email marketing, obviously, is that you need to be able to track whatever happens with your email when you send it, obviously, to people. And I can see the companies that I receive emails from, who's doing it right and who's doing it wrong. I sometimes get an email with an offer, and I actually like the offer. I like to learn more about the offer, so I click on the Learn More button or whatever, and it takes me to the website, and I review the website, and then I leave. And then I get another email a little bit later saying, hey, you left our website. Are you still interested in this product or this service? And I was like, okay, I mean, I'm not, obviously, because I left the website for a reason, but it's good email marketing. It's the one that they track me and they say, okay, this person clicked on this link. They know it's me. I went to the website. I clicked on information about their service or something, and then they follow up with me directly about what I was looking into.
Right. No, that definitely does work.
So it does work, and I tell you that because it happened a few times lately with like we do a lot of Amazon marketing and all that stuff, and obviously for that reason we get a lot of inbound emails from other Amazon marketing companies that want to team up with us. So sometimes I'm interested in the topic and I click and see, let's see how these guys are tracking this or offering this service, and so it's an email that interests me because it's something that we do for a living. And then I click on to check out their websites and their rates and what they offer and all that stuff. And then I get another email, a little more personalized, saying, hey, we know that you were through a website and you were interested in this. would you like more information or set up a call or something? And that's okay, because sometimes I'm thinking, first of all, email marketing done right. And secondly, maybe I do want to follow up with these guys, as opposed to me sending a form and then who knows when they reply to you or things like that. So that's marketing done
selling
properly.
in general, and especially email marketing, is just very context dependent.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know when to send the right email at the right time, and there's definitely an art to that, and the companies that do it right are very, very successful. But the problem is that I think a lot of companies don't spend enough time thinking about their email marketing, and that's why it ends up being so spammy. But the companies who really spend a lot of time thinking about it and planning it, I think do much better.
Right, and that's why you see now that obviously when back in the days when email was new and you received an email, it was like the open rate was like almost 100%. Every email you received, you were opening just because you were curious, and now the open rate, I mean, you get like a 10%.
Totally depends on what it is. On a newsletter, that's the other reason why newsletters are great. Like we send out newsletters, and our e-commerce weekly newsletter gets, it depends obviously, but on average probably a 40+% open rate.
Right.
Versus like a marketing email. Yeah, I mean, if you get 10% on a marketing email, that's pretty good.
And that's just the open rate. Then the click-through rate on links that you have through the email, that's even lower. But those are the numbers, basically. All right,
Speaking of high open rates, what I think we are in the early days of is the messaging marketing, which is, I think, kind of the next evolution. I don't think that email marketing will go away and that will be replaced by messaging. But I've seen some people do interesting things with text message marketing that I think could really work, and we're still in the very early days of that.
Right. And the thing with that, a lot of the text messaging services work with Facebook Messenger.
Well, there's two types. There's the Messenger, and then there's also just SMS, like texting, like I get it like to my phone number, basically.
Right.
I'm less bullish on the Messenger, like Facebook Messenger or those types of things, just because, especially last year, we've done messaging campaigns for clients, and Facebook actually changed the terms so that you can't, basically, like everything, people were just spamming the hell out of their lists. And so now they added a lot of restrictions to it. So it's not as effective anymore, in my opinion. They limited, I think, the amount you can send per day and the amount you can send that are like linking out versus just a regular message. But on the text messaging side, I think it's underrated. Because we're such early days. The thing that I've seen that's really interesting, one thing is I think, people have been getting kind of marketing text messages for a while, but I've seen text message newsletters. Now, obviously a text message, you can't write like a full newsletter like you do in an email, but little valuable snippets, a little like text from a company, it can be anything, obviously. Like in our case, if we did like a little marketing tip or something.
But don't you think that when people get, you're talking iMessage or things like that? Like
yeah, whatever text you use, iMessage,
whatever. So to me, when I get those, I get very few. Most of them are actually unsolicited
obviously
political advertising things that
you don't
I don't
want
know how they're
unsolicited.
doing that.
But I do get a few, and they're pretty good.
Yeah, but when I get a text message on an iMessage on my iPhone, I'm expecting it to be a friend or somebody that I know.
But that's why the open rate is so high.
Right.
The open rate on text messages
well, because
is like
you need to open it to see it
+%.
most of the times, But when I get something that is advertising, I'm like, why this guy's texting me? Like I'm almost annoyed.
There's a key difference. I don't mean go out and buy a list of phone numbers and try to just text people.
Right.
No, it's just like emails. Like, don't buy a list of emails and then just spam them. That's the wrong approach. But getting people to give you their phone number for the specific purpose of, hey, we'll text you very sporadically. We're not going to spam you anything with just insights, tips, whatever. It totally depends on what you're doing.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. To me, that is a little intrusive. Like even when I obtain, for example, I'm expecting, I don't know, some kind of package or some kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the
from
most
a vendor.
common.
And then I tell them, text me when you think it's shipping, delivery, and all that stuff.
Right.
And then, I get that information, which I like. But then they keep sending me messages for new offers now. I was like, okay, I didn't expect to get messages for offers of new products. I just wanted to follow up when you were shipping. So I will be alert and expect a package or whatever. But I don't need to know whether you have this on sale next month or whatever. I wanted to opt out of that stuff.
Texting is something that is very new. I think even though it's not necessarily new, people have been doing it, but it's definitely not been mass adopted by most companies in their marketing strategy. It's something that I want to play around with a little more this year.
Right.
But I do think it's going to be, just like email is definitely an art, I think it'll be even more of an art, because it is. Texting is very personal, and you don't want to spam people, and you want to make, I think it's just two things. You want to make it very clear what people can expect. Like, hey, we will text you once a week with an offer. And if they say that and they keep that, that's fine. You're not going to complain. Right. But at the same time, the thing that I'm more interested in is the not just selling, the text newsletter type thing. I think that's really interesting. I've seen a few people do that. Like, hey, I'll text you twice a week with 2 insights or something like that. And it's going to be just a little text, and take you 30 seconds to read it. That could be interesting. Just like people like getting email newsletters that are valuable, I think text
there's
could
a
be
key difference with
too.
the text messages and the emails. The emails obviously are more passive. They need to wait until you check your email to basically see your offer. A text message comes regardless of whether you check it or not. I mean, it's like an instant interruption to your day. Like the phone beeps or the phone vibrates or something in the middle of the day. You don't know if it's good, bad, or what it is, so you cannot check it whether you don't want it or not. Like you see the message there. An email is a little more like, okay, I'm going to send an email, and then I personally don't hardly ever check my emails on my phone. If it's important, people will call me or text me. I've checked my emails on the computer when I get to work or whatever. So, anyways, to me, it's a little more intrusive. But I understand there's another marketing channel.
It's like I said, there's a line, and you just have to play the line. And I think it's just all the expectations. Like, don't trick people into saying, hey, give me your number and I'll text you once a week, and then text them 4 times a week. Right. That's the line. You know.
And as long, again, they usually have. They put something like
you can always unsubscribe,
type
stop or whatever,
this or that or whatever. Yeah,
but it's something I think is very underutilized now, and I think could be much better going into the future and much more common, I think. But we'll have to see.
Now, let me ask you: in between email marketing and even text messaging that we're talking now, we have direct mail, which is the way that most of the marketing used to be done back in the days, and I actually don't know. Like if you asked me like maybe 1-2 years ago, I said direct mail is dead. Why send things in the mail
I would have said overrated a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But now I think it's appropriately rated. I don't think it's underrated or overrated. Right. I think it's appropriately
It's kind of making a slight comeback a little bit. It's funny because things kind of grow and then they become overrated or useless or dated. And then somehow the marketing cycles, there's a saturation on one end, which brings desaturation of the other channel. And now direct mail, again, for the proper products, it starts to work again. Like even when it's like a small catalog or something of products, I don't know. I find myself, and I don't want to put myself as an example, but I used to say, okay, I don't want catalogs anymore. Just to browse through all the catalogs. Even the Sears catalog was the old one, the old style and all that stuff. But now you get like smaller catalogs with whatever things you like, whether it's sports, apparel, or tools, or this or that, or whatever, electronics and things like that. And I'm already used to going on the web and seeing everything. But sometimes there's like a little bit of an attraction to see like a page catalog that you can look. Maybe there's less of a direct call to action, like they say, oh, call this number or visit our website or something. But as far as engaging with the viewer, with the reader, as far as kind of making you fall in love with the product, sometimes that paper catalog or that direct mail piece sells you more as far as the making you be interested in the product than actually seeing something on a phone or on a computer,
I think the reason for that is that these days digital marketing is so crowded, and especially if you're an e-commerce direct-to-consumer type company, where everybody's running Facebook ads, everybody's doing email marketing, everybody's doing all the digital stuff, that if you go out of your traditional path and do a direct mail catalog or something like that, there's not a lot. There's more now, definitely, but there's still not a lot of e-commerce companies sending direct mail catalogs. So when you are the one who does it, it's a little different, and it's a different feel. Like we were having this discussion the other day, even like books. This is like the classic thing. Like ebooks are great; they're very convenient, But there is still something a little nice about that physical book.
Right.
You know, you can put it on your shelf. You can do those things. And I think the catalog is kind of similar. And again, it's that direct mail used to be the most crowded form of advertising, and now I think it's much less crowded than email marketing, for example.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the key to have a successful direct mail campaign is to have a very targeted audience, as everything, but even more so because the costs of direct mail
That's the big
are
thing.
so much higher.
Sending an email is practically free. You pay a little bit of money to a sender, a MailChimp or whoever you use. But the marginal cost is like a penny an email versus a direct mail is much more expensive.
Printing a catalog, not to mention the shelf life is very limited. You have a catalog with special offer that lasts for 30 days, and then you need to redo the catalog with overpricing and print it again and send it again. So the cost per unit is obviously higher from all marketing parts, but marketing options. But I still think it works in certain cases. I think they may be still kind of trying to find a way to continue those, but I think the key to that for a marketing company is to definitely clean up their lists continuously. I get catalogs that are repeated with, I get sometimes 2 or 3 catalogs to me with my name spelled in 3 different ways, and I think that's just a waste of money and time and postage and everything.
Of course.
So when you do that with an email, you have 3 email addresses. Okay, well, it's not going to cost you much more to send 1 or 2 or 3, but sending 3 catalogs to the same person is saturation, is cost, excessive cost, and it's a waste of money, really. So
I think the best ones I've seen are a mixture of catalog and mini magazine. Basically, they have their own little content within it, and then interspersed is a catalog of their different products. Like a company that I think does it pretty well is East Bay. I get theirs because I've bought shoes on their site before. And East Bay is owned by Foot Locker, but they're just a higher end shoe site, and they send a catalog once a month, and it's nice. I flip through it. It's just lots of different shoes and clothing and whatever. And I don't always necessarily like say, oh, I'm gonna buy this that I see in the catalog, but they're always on top of mind. And I see like a shoe, and they're like, oh, that's a nice shoe. Maybe I'll check that out. Stuff like that. So there's lots of companies that do it well, but I think the mixture of a few like kind of magazine style pieces within it interspersed with your catalog of products is something that can do really well. Now this is more for companies that are more mature and larger and have larger marketing budgets. If you're already spending, millions on your digital marketing, then doing direct mail is better. If you're on a smaller budget, I would not go direct mail.
Right. So continuing with the print.
So is it overrated, underrated?
I think it's neutral.
I think so too.
I think like we said. If he was like a few years ago, I'll say now it's overrated. Right now, I'm kind of waiting to see. I'll say a neutral. It could be used in certain ways, but I still think if I had a limited budget.
Yes,
I would probably not use it.
Very budget dependent. Right. I think the old school physical type media, like we're going to talk about billboards in a second. Those are all things that if you have a larger budget and especially you feel like you're reaching saturation digitally, then it's a good time to go physical.
It falls more to me on the branding versus selling. It'll be more on the brand side than the selling side. You want to be in people's faces and have your brand in front of them. But as far as a direct call to action, it's not the best medium for me. But which leads me to print, traditional print advertising, putting an ad in a magazine. I don't care if it's a travel magazine, furniture magazine, hobby magazine, car magazine, whatever. That to me is on the overrated side. As far as the cost is so expensive. Prohibitive. Usually when you look at magazine advertising, especially, important magazines, they have a certain decent circulation. And that's another topic. The circulation of magazines is really something that people and marketers need to look very thoroughly, because when they give you the numbers, they say, okay, we have 100,000 circulation or something. That's the number, the issues that they distribute to either subscribers or free or people that buy at the kiosks or whatever, or bookstores or anything. But then when they give you the numbers of viewership, they estimate that each magazine is read like 3.5 times because they pass it on or they leave it behind or whatever. So they estimate that each page is read or seen at least like 3.5, 4.5. It depends on the magazine, but they estimate that more than one person obviously reads the magazine. Yeah. So they give you those numbers and they say, okay, well, you have 500,000 impressions. I was like, okay, yeah, 500,000 impressions with people that are just paging through, not interested in a doctor's office, whatever. So, it's not really something you can track as well as you do with all the digital media. And when you add the cost, basically you're paying for the whole magazine printing cost with the advertising expense. And obviously some magazines now offer you the print ad, and then in addition they offer you the extension of banner ad or something on their digital part, on their website and everything else, like a package deal. But I actually think that from all the advertising channels right now, print is definitely overrated. And the other thing is that the other thing that makes me steer away from print is the lack of trackability, if that's a word, like being able to track what happens with that ad. I mean, you pay $10,000 for a full page ad in a travel magazine or something, and it's like, okay, I don't know exactly what happened with that ad. I don't know how many people actually saw it, how many people did anything, went to the website from it. You can put a particular URL, which people may or may not use, a phone number, but it's really, really, the ROI is so hard to track that it's basically just throwing money and hoping that it works, but you don't even know if it works. So that's something that is hard for a marketer to put your money on,
So this is going to be our first disagreement of the day. I'm going to go, and I've only changed in the last probably 6 months on this.
I thought you were going to say in the last 6 minutes.
That it is not underrated, but it's slightly underrated. And here's
underrated.
Yes, and here's why. Now, for the past 10 years, it has definitely been overrated. If you asked me a year ago, I would have said 100% overrated. But I'm going to go slightly underrated. Here's why. One, I think the right way to do it is not to just buy an ad in a magazine and be done. Okay, that is definitely not a good idea. But doing a blend of digital marketing with that print ad, I think can be very effective. Because if you do something like, okay, the reason why I think it's underrated is because you said the cost. The cost of print ads has gone down so much because of as everybody knows, print media has gone down so much, that I heard ridiculously low prices. Like I heard, and I don't know this for sure, I can maybe try to get the official rate card, but like Wired magazine, which used to be one of the most premier tech magazines out there. Okay, everybody in the Valley read it. Everybody in tech basically read this magazine, and these are people with spending dollars. Okay, high salaries, everything. That the Wired UK, a full page ad was less than $10,000. That's really, really cheap because what you get when you are in a premier magazine like a Wired. Let me finish. I'll let you respond. I let you go. I want to give my case. Let me finish my case.
Really like Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I know.
Put your hand down.
Hold on. Wall Street. Okay, that's my Bernie Sanders impression.
Okay, good.
I have not practiced it much. You lost my train of thought. Okay, so being in a premier magazine does have a brand value next to it, because when you're on one page, if you're, let's say you're an aspiring clothing brand, okay, and you're a new name, and on one page is a Gucci ad, okay, because Gucci actually does lots of print. So say one page is a Gucci, and then right next to it is your MGR clothing, okay, just you being in the same pages as Gucci upgrades your brand value. It's very similar to like why it's so valuable to an up-and-coming brand to get into a store like Neiman Marcus, because then you're on the same shelves as all these other premium brands, and it elevates you. It puts you in the same light, the same talking space as those brands. And that's what print can do that digital cannot do. And second of all, because the prices have gone down so much, and because now you can target, for example, if you buy that ad for $10,000 in Wired magazine, you can target people who are fans and readers of Wired magazine on Facebook and Instagram, wherever, and send them ads in addition that complement the print ad that you did. And that blending of digital and physical with the branding abilities that print has over digital, I think makes it slightly underrated. I'm not saying everybody should go out and buy a bunch of print ads. But if you do it right and you do the right placements with the right magazines, I would only do premier magazines. I would not do low budget magazines because the only thing that print has is that it gives you more branding.
Okay, but let me ask you something now. Since you are defending this now, you are subscribed to Wired magazine, by the way, right?
Yes, I am. It's one of the few I subscribe to.
Okay. So we get Wired magazine at the office, and there's a couple of issues there for the last couple of months, right? Have you seen those issues?
Wow.
Okay.
It depends.
No.
Hold on.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Have you even opened those magazines? Because
I don't think I opened this one.
Okay, cool. Because I was going to say, you just quoted me before when we were getting those magazines in the mail saying, oh, I don't even read this thing because I look at the online version all the time.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Well, that's what you said.
No, I like the physical. And
which you haven't seen yet in 2 months.
It's true.
It's still shrink wrapped, by the way.
No, it's true. It's true. It's one of those things where I got to think of a year for free or something for some.
It doesn't matter.
Hold on. Let me explain. And then, these magazines are so cheap these days. I think it was like $10 for a year. And I said, okay, whatever. I'll pay $10 for the year.
Of course.
And you get a digital subscription too. But no, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. I totally agree.
So you have a $10,000 ad and nobody's even, subscribers are not even seeing.
But that's not everybody. Okay. And yes, I agree with what you're saying about the circulation. I think it's dumb that they say, oh, the average magazine gets read 3 times. So if we have a subscriber list of 1 million, we actually get 3 million readers. I think that's bullshit. I agree. But I'm saying that the cost, my only thing is that the costs have gone down so much.
Of course.
That it's actually
because
a good buy again. It's like, a stock that's dropped 90%.
Of course, I understand. But you have an ad. You're spending $10,000 just to be next to Gucci and improve your brand. Okay, fine. You can do that. You know how much you can do with those $10,000 on social media advertising?
But what I'm
paid
saying
advertising
is,
with Google?
Hold on. Again, when we're going to the physical kind of older school marketing, I wouldn't tell a client who has a $20,000 a month budget to go buy a $10,000 print ad. Absolutely not. But I'm talking about companies and brands who are already spending a lot on digital and finding diminishing returns, which is happening more and more. When you're spending $100,000 a month on digital, it gets hard to keep up those high returns.
Like I said, there's a point of diminishing returns, but I'd rather.
So if you're spending $100,000 a month,
some video content, podcasting, all the things that are a little more, distributable, and I have more control versus a magazine that people are subscribed. And even subscribers don't even read them. And it's true. And even if I read, because I have actually read the Wired magazines, and I skip through the ads, and I just look at the articles. Even other magazines that are very sports related that I like I subscribe to Red Bull magazine, which is called the Red Bulletin or something. It's a very Red Bull marketing magazine, but they do advertise other things like GoPro cameras and this and all the action sports type related products. And I don't even see those, I mean, I'm just so limited for time that even for one magazine that I actually look at and I page through and other stuff, I just skip through the ads all the time. We're subscribed to a couple of news magazines too, like Business Week and Bloomberg Business Week and some others. And they have these editorials in the middle where it's like 4 or 5 pages about some business. I think it's like a Chinese advertising for the Business Bureau, whatever, or any country. And you can tell that. You just basically skip through those. So I just think that print advertising is overrated because I don't care if it's $10,000. Yeah, it used to be $50, now it's $10.
Well, what's the price? What's the price that it makes sense? Okay, let's go to the extreme. If I told you can get a free full page in Wired, would you do it?
Well, I would prefer.
Hold on, answer that. Would you do it?
Well, I would do it with a different condition. What I will say is let me tell you. I go to Wired magazine and I said, I want my banner on your website.
Yes.
And then you can give me as a side note.
I would, the way to do it is blended. I would not just buy a print ad and be done. I don't think that's an effective method these days. But if you blend it with digital marketing, a combination, because the price has gone down so much. Okay, answer my question. If I said, hey, here's you can get a free full page in Wired, you would say yes,
free,
right?
Of course.
Okay.
Free is
okay,
free.
So that's the extreme.
Right.
And if I told you, it totally depends on circulation. I don't know what Wired UK's circulation is. But let's just say you have a magazine with 1 million subscribers, okay? That's a lot. Let's do 100,000. 100,000 subscribers, okay? Paying subscribers. Free, you say yes. What's the price at which you say no?
Well, I mean, I need to see if we compare it to like any other digital marketing, CPM type things.
Right. That's my point.
I look at a CPM
10,000
and I say, okay, first of all, for real circulation, not the three people read the magazine because you have it on an airplane and leave it behind and the next passenger is going to read it. I don't give a crap about that stuff. But if they're telling me, okay, you're going to pay $5-6 CPM for this ad, and I see that it's not...
but that's low. I mean,
of course.
The CPM... There's different CPMs, like a Facebook CPM, it totally is very context dependent, but say $11, $12 is like very average. That is to be on a Facebook feed, which has much less brand value, and people scroll. You talk about flipping through a magazine. You know how fast people scroll past ads on their phone? So that's 12. If I told you could get in a magazine for a $20 CPM, would you do it?
I have to.
Yes, you would.
No, seriously.
If it's hyper targeted, like, okay, Wired is a good example, and you have a SaaS company, and I say, hey, for a $20 CPM, you can get a full page.
If the package
you
comes,
would do it.
If the package, to me, the critical part is this, if you isolate just the print ad, I'll say no. If you tell me, okay, but the print
of
ad
course,
comes,
like I said, you have to blend it.
Yeah,
a blended approach.
Okay.
But you pay a $20 CPM for that magazine page. Would you do it?
Yes.
I think yes.
Yes.
So what's the price at which you would say no? And that's the whole point. Yeah, if you tell me it's $1 million, obviously screw you.
Well,
but for 10 grand in Wired magazine, and this is just one example.
But to me, see, the thing is that to me, it has more value when the ad comes with the digital component. That's why I think I'll reverse the table, because normally they sell you the print ad.
They almost always come with digital components these days.
Well, now, yeah, but they sell you the print ad and they say, oh, and you also get these banners here and banners there or whatever.
But I wouldn't.
But I'd rather have a magazine sell me the online advertising and then say, oh, by the way, we'll give you also a quarter page or a half page.
Obviously, I'm very much simplifying it. Normally, when you do a print deal, you don't just buy a page; you do packages and stuff. But I'm just simplifying it for argument's sake. I just, again, like I said, you asked me 6 months ago, I said, screw print. But now, I just think because it's become so cheap that it actually has some value. Only in the premier magazines. I would not do it in some magazine that is not premium, so to speak. But in a premium magazine with readers who, like I said, you have to look at who else is advertising that magazine. So if Gucci's advertising that magazine and you can get a page for 10 grand, maybe it's worth it. That's my point. If you have a bigger budget, again.
All right. So, overrated or underrated?
Slightly underrated.
Okay.
That's our first disagreement. We got to disagree sometimes.
No, that's fine.
We can't agree on
a
everything.
lot of things. I'll say, to me, it's overrated.
All right.
Obviously, there's always exceptions, but it's overrated. Definitely it's not my first or second or third priority as far as advertising.
It's only when you have a bigger budget. Not if you're a startup with a very limited budget, do not worry about print. I'm saying for bigger budgets.
Anyways, let's move on. Another one that is kind of overrated on my end is billboard advertising. The billboard advertising that you drive on the freeway and you see accident lawyers.
1 second before we talk about billboards. What about billboards are one thing, and I wrote billboards on the list, but I meant not just billboards, but like physical, like if you're in a city and you see a wall painted with an ad, or you're in a mall,
a bus stop,
or an airport and you see a big, like that. I don't mean just billboards. I mean outdoor media, I think is a better
That's fine.
term.
You can see a bus stop thing or
like
sign
LAX. If you've ever been to LAX International Terminal, it is like media central, all types of screens
but
everywhere.
That's a little more of a captive audience. I mean, you're talking when
that's what I'm referring to.
Okay. Well, in that case that you're referring to, you are in a airport lounge, you are waiting for half an hour, you're seeing all these huge screen ads and all that stuff, and you have a captive audience because there's nothing else to watch. So at least you're watching the ads over and over and over.
Right. I was there recently, and we were on a trip, and we were sitting in this lounge, and I saw the same ad because we were in LAX, and obviously LeBron plays for the Lakers. And I saw the same Ramoa suitcase ad with LeBron, who just signed with them recently, like 30 times. It actually gets a little repetitive, but it was like this big, beautiful screen.
That's different.
But I mean outdoor media in the sense of it doesn't just have to be billboards. It can be a billboard. It could be painted on a wall. It could be in a train station, bus station, things like that.
Okay, well.
General outdoor media.
I usually, if I were doing branding...
Yes,
that would be fine.
Of course, I would not do direct response.
Any type of direct sales or something, or advertising products, I'll say no. I mean, specifically when it comes to the billboards that you see at the freeways and all that stuff, yeah, they're large and they're actually better now. Like the ones that I like that I see many times driving through Phoenix area freeways is when they're advertising or promoting some unique TV programming or show or something that they have these electronic things that they can obviously update via computer. It's not the old style billboard where you put up wallpaper there for like a month or something, but this is electronic, and they change them and they say tonight only, Discovery Channel, blah blah blah, and it's like, oh shoot, that's tonight, like Shark Week or something starts tonight, and they say that reminds me, it's like a little reminder or something that I usually watch. And those I think are more effective than telling me I don't know, like use these lawyers or this other thing. I mean,
the accident lawyers are good because there's a reason. You get in a crash in the freeway right there,
right?
And there's a big ass billboard that says "Call this number and get money."
And obviously, there's a lot of those, and I'm sure they're very effective because that's what
there's a reason why they do it.
Right. But if they're selling me like this mortgage company or this other whatever it is,
like I'll give you an example of a company that's done it well. So we live in Phoenix, and Tuft and Needle, which is like a mattress company, they're based in Phoenix. And so they have billboards all over the place in Phoenix. I see them all the time. And I actually listened to an interview with the CEO of Tuft and Needle. And, they were the typical D2C company that started only online.
D2C meaning?
Direct to consumer. And they started only online e-commerce, basically. And as they grew, they started expanding their marketing. And he said that he was totally against billboards. And he says, why would I do a billboard? But then they started doing, like I said, all of this is going to be blended with digital marketing. So do not just do physical by itself. But he said that basically these days with digital marketing, as you know, you can be hyper targeted to people in certain geographic areas. And so they started doing an advanced digital marketing approach targeting specific people in geographic areas where they had their billboards and where they knew people were seeing their billboards, and doing a blended approach. And they said that the ROI on that was significant. So much so...
Okay, let me ask you, how did they measure that?
Because they are looking at the difference in a city where they don't have billboards versus where they do. And so they in a city where they didn't have billboards, and now they launched billboards with this blended approach of digital marketing, and all of a sudden the sales grew 50%. Okay. That's how you see it. You can never get 100%.
I can see that it's like everything. I mean, we always promote or tell our clients to use a multi-channel approach, because you don't know which side of the channel or which channel in a big marketing wheel that I usually draw for our clients with a lot of spokes. Each of the spokes of the wheel is one of the marketing channels. So the more spokes you have, the more solid branding you have. So obviously, billboard advertising or outdoor advertising, like you said, is one more spoke that you have, which is adding to your branding, to the strength of your core with your brand.
Right. And it's another thing that adds a lot of brand value. The brand value of a Facebook ad is much lower than the brand value of having your ad on the wall in New York City subway station, right? Like that's much more valuable than a Facebook ad as far as the brand value. But like I said, this is very budget dependent. Tuft and Needle only did this once they were a multi-million-dollar company. They were not doing this from the start.
Obviously, right. So it's something that is more again on the I would say neutral.
I would say neutral. I don't think it's underrated because it is pricey and it's not great for direct sales. It's only for branding. Right. But if you're a bigger company and you have the budget, I think it's something to seriously consider.
And keep in mind that when you consider outdoor advertising, I mean, obviously there's billboards on the freeway that you are maybe seeing for a few seconds as you drive, and then if you have passengers in your car, everybody's looking at their phones or whatever, so they don't even see the billboards, and then you see them maybe lightly while you're driving, a little bit of corner of your eye or something. So, but there's other advertising that is more static, like you can be at a stadium and then see banners and billboards and everything in the background.
That would be more sponsorship.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit of a banner sponsorship advertising, like airport traffic and all that stuff, bus stops and things like that, train stations. So, but on the branding side, and as a complementary channel, I think it might be working. As a direct sales and everything else, obviously, it's not a favorite option. And it's only, I mean, I would only use it like I said, like where you have residual advertising budget that you want to spend on additional channels, but it's not going to be my primary channel for sure. Which leads me now to paid social media.
I was going to say,
the
let's
big
move on
monster.
to things that people with smaller budgets can use. Because so far we've done a lot of bigger budget stuff. Let's go to the, what can the small guy use?
Right. So we have paid social media, and by social media, we have a bunch of different channels that everybody knows. We have Facebook, Instagram, obviously Instagram owned by Facebook, different audiences and everything else.
It's more similar now, I think.
It's getting closer, and that's probably a reason why a lot of people are also starting to not like Instagram so much. I've started to see that trend, like people are kind of like saying, okay, well, Instagram is just too marketed now, and
I'm happy. Instagram,
yeah,
I use it for marketing, but personally, it's always been my least favorite. I never really enjoyed
my
Instagram.
least favorite is Facebook, but
well, okay, yeah, that's true. But I like Facebook less, but I never really liked Instagram that much, and it was always very inauthentic to me,
right?
And that's why I like a Twitter or other platforms that are much more authentic.
Yeah,
the only thing I like on Instagram is stories, because that's a little more authentic.
Yeah,
I don't
it's like
the
everybody's
feed.
highlight reel or highlight fake reel. But anyways, without that other discussion, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, we used to Snapchat, TikTok.
Yes, I added TikTok to the list at the very end. We'll talk about it briefly, but let's go through it. Okay, first.
All right, so
Facebook/Instagram, we'll throw them into one bucket.
Right.
You want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead. Since you're the expert marketer for Facebook, so
I'm gonna go appropriately rated.
But the one thing is, when we go underrated or overrated, we also consider the cost of advertising.
When I say underrated, overrated, I mean basically what's it's in a marketing sense, it's more like what ROI can you expect, really is what I'm saying, underrated, overrated. And when I say underrated, it means, hey, I think you can get a good ROI because not a lot of people are paying attention to this. Versus overrated is, oh, this is saturated, it's hard to get a good ROI. The reason I say Facebook is neutral, where for the past decade, I would have said underrated, but now Facebook, Instagram is neutral, is just because, everybody's marketing on Facebook and Instagram now. All the big companies are there too now. And we see it. It's just, especially with a larger budget, when you start scaling, right? If you're spending, $30 a day, $50 a day, yeah, you can still get a good return. That's fine. But as you try to scale to hundreds and thousands of dollars a day, it's just much, much harder than it used to be to get a solid return. And that's why I think that Facebook, I don't think it's underrated. I don't think it's overrated. I think it's appropriately rated. I think that it's a solid marketing channel. Of course, we obviously manage a lot of companies' marketing budgets on Facebook. If you do it right, you have the right strategy, you can do very well. But I don't think that it is underrated anymore. I don't think that there's any secret about Facebook marketing anymore.
I know, but from all the different forms of advertising, obviously within the digital marketing world, what I do like about Facebook, Instagram is the fact that you can target the audience so granularly. Like you can actually target the groups and the people and the demographics that you want much better than you do with pretty much any of the previous options that we've mentioned the last hour or so.
It really depends on what you're selling. So for us, right, when we're doing it as our agency, we do much more hyper targeting, as I like to call it, than I would do for someone who's selling a mass market product. Because for us, as an agency, there's a very small subset of people on Facebook that are going to be a client of ours, But if you're selling something that's like, whatever, a computer, there's a huge market for people in computers.
Right.
The thing that Facebook has over most other platforms is, even though it's much harder to scale, it is still the best platform for scaling. To go from a $1,000 a month budget to a $50,000 a month budget is very possible with Facebook, whereas other platforms, it's very hard. That's the biggest advantage.
But don't you think that also the ability to retarget people, like you said, a broad
subject,
like computers, for example. Obviously, everybody can use a laptop computer or anything. It doesn't matter what demographic or income level, whatever. Everybody uses iPhones, computers, or mobile devices. But if you're shopping around, and obviously Facebook has its own tracking pixels and everything else, don't you think that Facebook and all these digital marketing options including Google, that will get into offer you the ability to retarget people based on
Yes,
what
but
the product
Facebook
that you
isn't
look
unique
for.
in that. Every platform offers retargeting
No,
now.
I mean, we're talking digital platforms now. So that, to me, that's why...
But I'm saying, like, you can retarget with Google, Pinterest, Amazon, Snapchat. You can retarget with all of them. So that's not unique to Facebook.
Well, but the unique thing with Facebook is that you can retarget regardless of browsers and things. You retarget people based on their profile. And with Google, you are more dependent on the browsers, on the computer used, and everything else. So with Facebook, you're going to the profile. So the way Facebook retargets people more than devices. So that's a critical difference that, to me, makes the Facebook and
Google
Instagram
does
much
that
more.
too now, though, because almost everybody has some type of Google account.
Yeah.
So I know what you're saying, but I think all platforms have gotten a lot better at the retargeting now, that it's not such a unique thing to Facebook anymore. The biggest thing, like I said, to me on Facebook is that while it's harder to scale than it used to be, it's still the easiest to scale compared to like Google. I think scaling Google is much harder than Facebook, just because on Google you're much more limited. Obviously, if you're doing search, you're limited to how many people are searching, and then even Google Display, when you start to scale, it can get a lot more expensive because you basically run out of places to put your ads. Whereas Facebook, because obviously they have so many users, because Facebook, Instagram, I'm saying in a bundle. But as Facebook, Instagram has so many users of so many demographics and interests and everything, that it is the easiest to scale out of all the platforms. That's the biggest advantage that Facebook
So let me ask you this, which is a very practical question. A client comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to advertise my company. I sell XYZ widget, whatever, and I only have $2,000 a month."
Oh, just Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah. At a smaller budget, you can still get good returns. It's just that, $2,000 a month is when you're just starting out. But as a company grows and you want to spend $1,000 a day, then it gets harder. It does get harder. But I'm just saying that it's appropriately rated now, not overrated, underrated, because before it used to be that if you were spending $30,000 a month or more, you could get a 5-to-1 return. That's just not very realistic these days. It's so hard to get that kind of return these days when you're spending bigger budgets. But you can still get a good return, and like I said, you can scale.
Do you think that Facebook is still undervalued as far as the cost of advertising? I mean, it used to be very undervalued.
Yeah,
like
it used
2 or
to be
3
a
years
lot.
ago.
I think it's appropriate.
How much do you think is increased in the last couple of years? It's probably doubled. I mean, it used to be,
yeah,
I remember when Facebook used to be $5-6 CPM, and now it's like 12.
Yeah, but it really the thing that's gone up the most is certain segment audiences. So if you're going after the bigger purchasers on Facebook, let's say the top 10% of purchasers on Facebook, I don't want to get too nitty gritty, but like when you select your campaign type, most people go out their conversion campaigns, and that's the best way to do it because Facebook's going to optimize for people that convert more. But that's a pretty small subset compared to the large Facebook audience, and that group of people that are the conversion audience, let's say it's the top 10% of converters on Facebook, is getting very expensive because everybody's running
it's like everything
campaigns.
else.
Now,
Wants.
if you just want a traffic campaign, which I don't recommend running if you're like a D2C company, I would not do traffic campaigns. But that's still pretty cheap. You can get lots of people for not that much money.
So let's jump to the Google world.
Well, you want to talk about the other social platforms first?
Well, I mean, I consider Google almost social.
Well, you want to talk about YouTube?
Yeah, I want to discuss YouTube. Obviously, it's a Google company, but
because what about let's do real quick. Let's run through the Pinterest and Snapchats and all them.
Okay, sounds good. Pinterest is fairly new in the paid advertising arena. They're still trying to get their system worked out.
I would say slightly underrated.
And undervalued too. I mean, it's pretty.
Yeah, the CPMs are lower.
Now.
That's why I think it's underrated. It really depends on who your audience is. If you have a woman ages 20 to 45 is your audience, Pinterest 100%.
Majority and the type of thing that you advertise, whether it's sometimes like hobbyist thing or arts and crafts, and but definitely Pinterest tells you their average profile is 60, two-thirds women.
I think it's more,
or maybe
it's a little less now. But if you're targeting women 20 to 50, Pinterest is great. If you're not, if you're targeting like men in their 50s, I would not use Pinterest. So it's very dependent. But for that, which is obviously a lot of companies target women in that group, I've seen a lot of success with our clients on that end. And the CPMs are just really cheap. I mean, you can easily get a $4 or $5 CPM, which you cannot find on Facebook.
Now, reversing, you said women 30 to 50 for Pinterest. How about Snapchat? Is probably the opposite as far as the age group.
Yeah, Snapchat isn't gender specific, but age group, I would say under
30 for sure.
Yeah, I guess under 30.
I think a lot of people want to turn to like after college.
Yeah, I don't use Snapchat as much anymore. But if you're targeting teenagers, Snapchat 100%, and then same with TikTok, which we'll talk about in a second. Snapchat, their ad platform is so much better now. I remember I was running ads, testing it out, I don't know, in 2015, 2016. It was crappy. And now it is so much better. If you have an under 30 audience, you can get a really, really good return. I'm talking like, I don't want to promise anything, but like 10x plus ROI, just because it's so undervalued right now. And the branding through Snapchat, I think, is really valuable, whereas the branding on Facebook, I think, has diminished in value.
How good is the targeting through
very
Snapchat
good
as
these
far
days.
as geographic, demographic?
Very good these days.
Okay.
Very good.
I
Geographic is 100% because they use Snap Maps and all that.
And all that stuff.
But
as far as being able to target people like we do with Facebook, Instagram, I'm not so familiar with
their
with
interest targeting is a lot better now. Their retargeting is a lot better now. Basically, they've very much copied Instagram and Facebook on their back end.
As opposed to
I know,
being copied by them.
Good for them. And it's a lot better now. If you're targeting that audience, I would say it's underrated. But obviously, if you're targeting people in their 40s, 50s, don't use Snapchat.
Right.
And then TikTok, I would say even younger. I'd say under 25 is good. I would say here's my problem with TikTok. I'm not a fan because of the Chinese Communist Party aspect of it. And there's actually been rumors that there could be some serious U.S. legislation involvement.
Yeah.
So I'm not clear on exactly what's going to happen there. But if I'm looking purely just at it as a marketing platform, it is underrated if you are trying to target under 25s because the CPMs are pretty cheap, and if you do the right ads, it can be pretty seamless and hard to tell that it's an ad versus just another TikTok basically in your feed. But yes, if you're targeting very young people, 13 to 25, it's great.
Let me ask you as an advertiser, what is the buying power of a person that is 13 to 25 or 14 to 25?
Pretty good.
I mean, seriously. I mean,
no, it's
obviously
very
under
good.
18, people live with their parents and all that stuff, or so they rely on their parents' money.
Yeah, one of the biggest buying markets actually, even though they don't make a ton of money because they're young, is like 16 to 21. Because most of them still have their bills paid by their parents. So even though they're not making that much money, maybe they work a job where they make, minimum wage or something. They basically save all of that. They don't have expenses really. Most younger people, obviously that's very generic. It depends. But let's just say the kids who are the children of the top 20% income households in the U.S. have a lot of discretionary income. And that's why TikTok and Snapchat are very valuable, because you can target those people who basically, if they're making a few $100 a week but they don't have bills, they want to spend that. And most young people don't have a great concept of savings yet, so they just spend their whole paychecks. They don't really save their money. So that's a group of people that have a lot of money to spend.
When you advertise on these platforms, like with Facebook and Instagram and all these other normal platforms, you have a call to action, buy now button or something that they go actually to a website, e-commerce, whatever. They put the credit card, they buy something on the spot.
Yeah.
this audience, if you are targeting specifically the 13 to 18 years old, hardly ever going to have a credit card. They're going to be able to buy something.
They definitely do.
Well, they have a debit card that is attached to their parents' account or something, but it's just a little more difficult for them to actually make a buying decision.
Not
unless
anymore.
they go to the mother or father and say, hey, I want to buy this.
Not anymore.
Really?
No. I mean, every teenager has a card now.
And they have their own buying power and credit card and everything.
Oh, yeah. Especially if they already have a job. Of course, they have to have a bank account to have a job.
And also,
if you're targeting like 10-year-olds, yeah, okay, they're gonna have to get their parents.
so what's
But
the
a
age?
16-year-old?
Do you know the age, the minimum age to have a Snapchat account? Do you have to be 18?
No, you definitely. Well, what the minimum age is and what the actual truth is, I don't know.
Well, I mean, obviously, I
Basically,
remember
every
with Facebook
kid,
and Instagram, everybody was faking their age to open an account before.
I don't think so. I don't think you have. I think maybe it's 13, but any kid 12 to 20 has Snapchat and TikTok.
No, I know they do, but I don't know if that comes to place when you are actually ordering something online or something. I don't know. I mean, I just kind of wondering.
I don't know. I don't think so.
If it's the right platform for. I mean, I know branding and
like I said,
everything
it's
else.
very dependent on your business. If you're targeting people in that age group, Snapchat and TikTok all day. If you're not, if you're targeting people in their 40s, those platforms are not for you.
Okay. All right. So let's go to YouTube and also Google by extension as far as the traditional search display advertising. But let's start with YouTube because it's obviously video. And I know there's a whole generation of YouTubers and YouTube fans and YouTube consumers out there. And now obviously you have YouTube TV, which is a whole different streaming option. But how about advertising on YouTube by itself?
Underrated.
Underrated.
Yeah. I think YouTube, and the CPMs aren't that cheap on YouTube. They're more expensive than Facebook, but the branding and direct selling efforts that are possible on YouTube just are not possible on Facebook. I mean, it's really, really powerful.
Let me ask you first, let's define how advertising works on YouTube because there's a lot of ads that are options.
I'm considering mostly just the pre-roll, mid-roll type ads. The video ads you see before you watch a video or that intercut in the video. Those. I'm not. The search ads depends. The little side banners. They can be good. I would say those are neutral, not overrated or underrated.
Okay.
But the video ads.
So you're talking the video ads that you see when you click on a video.
The one where you
watch.
get and it says you can skip this ad in 5 seconds. That type of ad, or the unskippable 15-second ads.
And then the little ones that appear at the lower third that you can X out. What about those?
I don't like those. I'm not a fan of those. I don't.
What are those called?
I forget the name of them.
Stream ads or in-stream
I
ads
forget the exact name of them. I think they're phasing them out too. They don't use them as much anymore.
Okay.
I don't like those at all. They're very annoying. I don't think people look at them at all. You can't have any imagery. It's just text, and people just X out like that. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't touch those, honestly.
Okay. So the pre-roll, obviously, full screen, you skip the ad or something, and then the mid-roll is also an ad that appears in the middle of the stream.
Yeah.
And YouTube inserts that randomly, or how do you decide?
It depends. The creator, the person who's making the video, what people are doing now that I've seen a lot is they'll do. It depends how long the video is. If you notice on YouTube that why a lot of videos are like 10 minutes and 1 second long, or 10 minutes and a few seconds, it's because once your video passes that 10-minute mark, the creator is able to charge a lot more CPM. Because YouTube's algorithm favors longer videos now, not shorter videos. And so when you have a 10-minute video, a lot of creators will have a pre-roll and then maybe one, sometimes even two. I wouldn't do two if I was a creator, but some of them do it.
Right.
But they'll actually purposely, I've actually seen this, do like a little fade to black 5 minutes into their video and put an ad right there.
Right.
Like a little commercial break type thing. And so, yeah, you can do pre-roll, mid-roll. Those are the ones. I'm not a big fan of post-roll because post-roll, people are already done.
People don't get to
but
the end. Right.
Pre-roll, mid-roll, I think is underrated especially because you can target two things. You can specifically put your ad on a certain creator's channel, which basically means if you have a creator, like I said, like whatever, back to if you're Microsoft Surface, okay, and you're selling a Microsoft Surface, then you can go to a tech review channel and put ads on that channel. Okay, that's something that you can't do on Facebook.
When you say creator, you're talking about the owner of the channel?
Yeah, the person who's making the videos, or company, media, whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? The channel itself. And you can put ads on that channel. And then you can also target people who have made specific searches. So if someone is searching for best work laptops in your Microsoft Surface, you can target people with video ads about how the Microsoft Surface is a great work laptop to people who have searched that. That's what's really powerful. You can combine the branding and video aspect of Facebook with the powerful search engine of Google, and that's what YouTube is. And so even though the ads are more expensive CPM-wise, I think they're still very valuable.
Well, I mean, one of the barriers of entry that I see for YouTube ads in general is the creation of the actual ad.
Of course, that's the most important part.
That's the thing. That's why I think fewer people are considering YouTube. The moment you mention video to a lot of marketers, it's like, oh shoot, it's expensive production.
But it's not anymore.
Right. I know.
You don't
need
it's not. To do a $30,000 shoot to make a good video.
Right, exactly. And that's the misconception that I think people think of a video ad and they think, okay, it's like a television commercial. You just put it on video, on streaming video, and then put it on YouTube, and they think the cost is prohibited just to produce the actual ad, not so much buying the ad space from YouTube.
But these days, creative is the most important thing. And because we're a media buying agency, we buy lots of digital ads. And yeah, I can do lots of little tricks with targeting and audiences. There's lots of little tactics you can do. But the truth is, those tactics become commoditized, and everybody learns those tactics. Right. But what is not commoditized and what will never be commoditized is the creative. And if you can come with good creative, that will separate you from everybody else. And even though people are very afraid to spend, but you don't have to spend that much. For $1,000, you can create 4 really good video ads. And those video ads for $1,000 could bring you tens of thousands of dollars in revenue.
Right.
And it's worth that investment. And I think I understand. Obviously, you're always taking a risk when you invest in creative because you don't know. It's no different than a movie.
The other thing is
a movie, they could spend $100 million and it flops.
Right, but the other thing is that you have a lot of multiple uses for that video that you created. I mean, you're creating a video maybe for YouTube, but you can use it on Instagram, you can use it on Facebook, you can use it on many other sources as a video advertorial or advertising piece versus just creating it for YouTube. So once you divide the cost, the production cost into all the different media, it really is cost effective in that sense. So I agree. I mean, I think YouTube is way grossly underrated right now, and is becoming a lot more. Let's put it this way: a lot more people that were not so much used to YouTube are now starting to use YouTube much more. Maybe it's because of the YouTube channel per se.
Let me put it very clearly: YouTube for anybody under 30, maybe even under 35, is their television. Okay, Netflix and YouTube is basically the young person's television. They do not watch TV. They don't watch, old stuff. YouTube and Netflix. Obviously, but you can't advertise on Netflix. Not only
as a television option or alternative, but also as a learning or how-to channel. Everything that you're trying to learn or discover or see how it's done. I mean, you can just go, obviously Google owns YouTube, but you can go to YouTube, how to fill in the blank. And there's multiple videos to show you anything, instructions, how to do this, how to do that. It's incredible. I mean, the ability that YouTube has to show you how to do things is unmatched by any other channel. And that's a very captive audience because you're going to find an audience that is there, that is going to watch an entire video, and you can also target people based on their interest as far as what they're looking for. So I definitely think it's way underrated, and honestly, it has become almost one of my favorite channels. After obviously social media, I think video advertising on YouTube and then expanding those videos into other things are.
And then you can get into critical. Actual YouTube sponsorships, which is working with the creators themselves. Now, the only thing with that is you're going to need a much larger budget typically, because if a YouTube creator, they might say, okay, it's $50,000 to put a spot on my video. With a YouTube ad, you don't need that budget. So if you have the bigger budget, working directly with the creators is better. But you don't necessarily need to if you have a smaller budget. It can still be very effective.
All right, so let me jump over to Google, the parent company of YouTube, And the traditional paid advertising is basically divided into two main options: search and display. Display is banner advertising, and then search is obviously where you go into Google and just search with your keywords and everything else, and you have the search ads that appear. Like usually you have 4 at the front, at the top, and 3 at the bottom, and then organic comes in the middle. So I think that's always there to stay.
Underrated, overrated? What do you think?
I don't think it's over or under. I think it's just there to stay. I would say neutral.
Yeah, I agree.
There are some niches where the advertising is very well priced. There's others where it's overpriced to the point that you pay like outrageous amount of money per click. And obviously that's because your industry is very competitive, so you're going to have to deal with that. And if that's your case, then you need to start shifting into a little more organic branding so you come up organically higher without relying on paid advertising. And that's something that we do as well. And we tell people, we're getting into the content marketing a little bit, that the more reputation and branding you establish for yourself, the less you need to rely on the paid advertising side. So even if you start getting a customer the first time via paid advertising, then you want your own brand to take over, and then people just come to you directly. But I think Google is obviously there to stay. They've been adjusting and growing very steadily over the last 15 years since it started, basically. And I do like the display advertising channel. Obviously, they bought DoubleClick. So the banner advertising or the display advertising also has their own Google Display Network.
The only thing I don't like about it is that more and more people have ad blockers these days.
Yeah, but they do, but they also have ways around it. I mean, like with native ads and advertorials and all that stuff, as you can see, as you've seen with many other, even not just Google, but Yahoo advertising, they put news story right in between 2 legit news stories, and it says sponsor content or something, and then it looks like another advertorial or basically like another story, but it's just an ad. So I mean, there's ways around it. A lot of people have ad blockers. I honestly, as long as the ads are not so intrusive that are popping up and over the place, and you keep Xing, and then make the X so teeny that you click on the ad and opens another window, things like that. As long as they're just limited to side banners and top banners and all that stuff, I'm okay with those, especially because the ads are actually targeted to me, and I can always go, private browsing or any other thing where I don't have any cookies or anything, so they cannot target me based on other stuff. But for the most part, I don't mind the ads that I see that are for things that I've seen before, because sometimes, in fact, I click on the ads. Like I said before, I mean, I get ads for companies that are competitors or complement to what we do, and I'm curious to see what they do. So I click on them.
I click on lots of ads, but I use an ad blocker because I don't mind banner ads. Like a static banner ad doesn't bother me. What bothers me, but the problem is when you use an ad blocker, it blocks everything. What bothers me is that so many sites these days, especially like news type sites, have autoplay videos, pop-ups. That's why I use an ad blocker. Right. If they stopped doing that and they just had banner ads, I wouldn't need the ad blocker.
I don't understand why. Like news
autoplay
sites
videos,
have autoplay videos
should
with
be
volume.
Illegal. You should be thrown in jail. It's so
I mean, you
annoying.
can play an autoplay video and the video is moving, but don't have sound. I mean, it's especially. I mean, sometimes you scroll down on the page and you're reading some of the story, and all of a sudden you start hearing this sound. You don't even know where it comes from, and then you need to look up and down the page, and it's like a little side video that is playing.
This is what frustrates me, because they hurt themselves. Annoying. The reason I don't want to use an ad blocker. We're a marketing agency, Right. But I had to do it for a lot of sites like Forbes or any of these like
Yahoo's and
like they drive me nuts. They have 5 pop-ups, and we have cookies, and we have this. Subscribe to our email list, and I'll have 2 pop-ups in a row, and then an autoplay. That's why I use an ad blocker now. I can't stand it anymore. I had to, and I tried as long as I could, but I think. But they kill themselves, because I don't actually mind if they didn't have any of that. They just had some static banner ads. It wouldn't bother me. I'd say, okay, whatever. I get it. They need to make money. That's fine. But these types of ads, and please do not go buying pop-up ads and autoplay video ads, because when I see companies that pay for those, it makes me hate those companies.
Right.
It diminishes your brand value.
image. But I don't know. I don't know how. I mean, I know they're not very effective, but they're still having. And then you get into the clickbait.
I think there's a
ads and all that stuff.
falsifying of metrics,
Right.
Because they autoplay the video. It takes you 10 seconds to figure out where it is on the page and to pause it, and by then they count that as a view, and they say, "Oh, 1 million people viewed this," when really only 1,000 did. But
Not only
others
that,
stopped
when
it.
you have to X out of the video, they put the X like. That's another thing that I don't like. They make the X like it's so low contrast. They make a white X over a white background.
Yeah,
And you
especially
can
on mobile, it's so hard.
You can even see it, and then unless you have a razor sharp point finger to exit out, you actually click into the ad, and they consider that a click through. And all those tricks are just to trick the audience and to trick the advertisers and
trick
to
the
bump,
advertisers.
right? To
That's what
bump
it
their
is.
prices and all that stuff. So that's totally deceptive advertising.
But let's move on.
Yeah.
Google
So
organic. That was the other part. SEO.
well, organic. I mean, I organic is always going to work. I think
But-
organic is underrated.
Yes. Thank you. I was gonna have a little rant.
No. I always think organic is underrated. People
But a lot
keep
of people
forgetting.
don't. A lot of people have been totally saying, "Oh, forget SEO; it's not worth it
No,
anymore."
a lot of people will say, "Oh, that you pay to play or all that stuff." Yeah, you pay to play, but you can also play without paying, and that's well, probably the problem with organic. Everybody's looking for a shortcut these days.
Right.
Everybody's looking.
Right.
It's like if you go to a gym and you say, "Okay, I want to be bulky in 1 week." Okay, well, that's steroids does that for you, but it's not legal and it's not healthy. So. An ad on steroids basically is like paying. You want to rank higher right away? Yeah, you're buying your ranking, okay? So, but the moment you stop paying, you disappear from the Google sphere. So, organic is the way to go. Nobody likes to plant a tree and wait 10 years to see it grow, okay? They want to plant a tree or a seed or something and then see a freaking 20-foot tree right away. That's not going to happen. That's why it's called organic. But when you work steadily in organic, promoting your content and having legit content and making your website reputation increase and discoverability and people coming to you and all that stuff counts to you, and then you're going to have a ranking that is not going to disappear no matter what. So it's definitely underrated, and people think that it's not working anymore. It's still working.
SEO has gone through a cycle where
Right.
10, 12, whatever years ago, it was underrated. And then everybody started focusing on SEO. You had a million SEO gurus, everybody was doing all types of black hat SEO, everything. Google cracked down, a lot of those things stopped working, and then people said, "Oh, SEO's dead." They started adding more paid searches to the top.
But you know what happened?
But now it's underrated because a lot fewer people focus on SEO than used to, and it's such a gold mine. I mean, even ourselves, just from articles we write, we do a lot of content. We get so many leads for free just from articles we write.
It is actually much more simple than what people think. I mean, everybody's trying to trick search engines, and yes, search engines could be tricked. Years ago, when they were very new, they didn't know much about SEO tricks and black hats, like you mentioned. Everybody was tricking with all these keywords and things and putting this thing on the title and putting these things and
putting text in white with
right,
keywords
right.
so you couldn't
Hidden
see
links.
it.
Okay, forget it. Google is smarter than all of us together. They have algorithms, artificial intelligence, robots. They have all kinds of tricks of the trade now. That's their business, to find out which pages are actually legit content, informative content that people are actually trying to read, and which ones are just basically clickbait and fake. So if you just, it's so simple that if you just write content that is for the audience, don't write content for Google, okay? Don't try to make headlines and stuff your keywords everywhere in every third line or something. Just write normal content that reads properly for the viewer, that is informative, that people scroll through the page and read it, that people share it, that people link to you and all that stuff. Everything else will take care of itself.
The problem when you write for Google is that even if it works, because I've done this myself when I've learned my lesson, even if it works and you actually are able to rank because you optimize the hell out of your listing, the whole point of organic is so that you rank organically and people click and then buy from you or contact you or whatever your business is. And I realized that on the articles that I optimized to hell, that were optimized for Google but not optimized for the person reading it to get value out of them, that then, yeah, I would get a lot of clicks, but nobody was actually leaving their contact information. And it was like, okay, so this was worthless because, yeah, it ranks number 1 and it looks awesome. Oh, I get 1,000 clicks a month organically from this, but nobody was filling out the form.
The other thing that I don't understand is why a lot of people get super creative with their paid ads. Like, do a search ad and they have a certain amount of characters for the headline and the sub-headline and the link through and all that stuff, and they get all this creative content and nice titles and descriptions. But then for the normal pages that are not advertised, they just put a boring title and description. I mean, when Google is quote unquote awarding you a page 1, rank 1 organically, basically that you appear on the top of the fold as far as listings on the first page right after the paid ads. They're giving you that position because they expect people to click through on your page when people are searching for whatever your ad is coming for. I mean, your article is coming for. So you need to be creative to create titles and description that are captivating, that will make your audience click on it. Instead of saying whatever overview, just say, discover why you need to learn about this thing. And then the sub-headline or the actual description saying, top 10 things to prevent this from happening to you, whatever is the situation. And then people are going to click on it. Become a little creative with the title and description. So when you are given that position, people click on it and Google is going to say, yes, this person, this page is click through when people search for this, and you will be ranking higher. Otherwise, if you put like whatever overview and then you don't click throughs and the other person does, then they're going to bump you to another lower position.
The number one thing that matters is having great content. Because yes, of course, there's always different tactics you can use. You have different tactics that you can use that will help you out. But none of that matters if you don't have great content, because all of these little tactics that you use are to get people on the page. But if once they get on the page, they don't convert, then it's worthless. So you need that great content, and so many people forget that. They write a blog with a bunch of articles that are just for SEO with no value to them. They're totally crappy. And yeah, they get a lot of people coming to that page because they rank, but then nobody converts. So that's worthless. That's
organic is always going to stay.
But organic is underrated, I think. In my opinion, because not enough people focus on it now. Like you said, they're looking for that quick fix. They're not looking at the long term.
But those who do, and actually now we've had websites that have done zero marketing, but good organic content for years, and now they start. I mean, there's a reason why Wikipedia comes on top all the time. Every time you do a search, why? Because they have nothing but content. They don't care about having a beautiful website, flashy things, dissolves, and tons of pictures. It's the ugliest website you can look from the design standpoint, but they have great content, and people refer to it. They click, they spend minutes reading it. So basically, David, looks like we both agree that SEO is underrated and is here to stay.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that it's not something that you're going to get returns right away. But if you do it for a year or two and really put a lot of effort, you're going to get those long-term dividends down the road.
Very good. All right. So there you go. There's other pieces of content that we are going to leave out. Like we obviously are big on blogging and content marketing, and
there's a whole other side that is creating your own media company.
Right.
But we're more talking about kind of tactics. We'll talk about that more in the future.
I wanted to discuss that. Now that you said that about the media company, because it's the way that you create a lot of content about a particular product or brand, and then you actually create the product later. So that's a whole DTC type of...
I don't want to make this a 3-hour podcast. So
right. We said it was going to be short, and it's already long. So anyways, I think this is a good summary. We'll have the podcast show notes and everything listed on MGR Edge and MGR Consulting. MGRUnplugged.com, which is the official website. MGR Consulting is our agency website. So we'll have everything there. The video will be on YouTube as well in the next couple of days. So thank you for listening or watching. And until next time, this is Manuel and David from MGR. Thank you.
See ya.